My parents' home was just covered in wallpaper. Every room had wallpaper. And I'm sure lots of children would recognise this, that I would imagine, particularly at night time, that the wallpaper was moving. It always had this really strong impression on me that there was this kind of otherworldly kind of quality to wallpaper pattern. I'm always like taking an image and thinking, oh, can this make a pattern? Can I make a pattern out of text? One of the realizations in more recent times is kind of understanding how I can use elements of virtually anything that may seem chaotic or might seem at odds. And once I start to turn it into a repeat pattern, it takes on another character and its message is less didactic. Let's speak specifically about William Morris and the way in which he will bring the wildness of nature and create some kind of order. I think this happens with pattern or repeat image. It is able to hold the waywardness of imagery, make it manageable. I did a series of sculptures with memorabilia from the devotional collection. This one is Shashila Rahman. And basically taking elements from the CD to then create a kind of repeat pattern that's then made into wallpaper and then pasted. I absolutely love the scenography of going into particularly older museums. The objects in the casing and the whole setting just seems really enchanting to me. The stark difference with the kind of white cube where you're only supposed to concentrate on the object and not everything else around it. I mentioned a wallpaper, which began my journey, you could say, in wallpapers, and this is the reproduction of the commission to commemorate Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee and her reign across the world in terms of the British Empire. This wallpaper was made in 1887 and it became the source of one of my early works. One of the curious questions in recent years is people trying to get their head around the fact that I make wallpaper as an art practice. Still sits within the realm of the kitsch. I think Jill Saunders talks about that interior design by the 1930s, in order to denote a sense of luxury, started to lose colour. So it became more and more monochromatic. And the more monochromatic it became, the more it would be seen as somehow more opulent than anything that was vibrant in colour. You know, David Batchelor, he's written a really amazing book called Chromophobia and the history of colour within the Western world, of a kind of imperial history that is embedded in the question of colour, in the question of where it sits within class, where it sits within society as a whole. I became quite interested in what is a social practice and at what point does that social base stop? Does it stop when the artwork's made, or does it continue when the audience come into an encounter with the work? Because I do think there is something that when you go into a gallery or when you go into a museum, I don't believe it's something that I alone experience. You do enter this other realm when you're in that space. It's a particular kind of pocket of possibility, and I suppose that's what I'm trying to achieve. They're thinking they're coming to just watch something or to look at something. Hopefully, slowly, they're implicated. Looking is not innocent, and looking is not something that happens unconsciously, but more consciously. There's a book called The Yellow Wallpaper. Early 20th century, late 19th century story about the woman who, she's locked in this room with yellow wallpaper and she goes increasingly mad. That pattern somehow, and that repeat pattern, can do work on you over time. Maybe it's the macabre side of me that really likes that idea that this repetition somehow starts to do something to you. You can't quite find the edges of.